Good afternoon. I'm Carla Short, Director of San Francisco Public Works. Thank you. Thank you.
I've never seen that.
It's official today, so. As the stewards of the city's 125,000 plus street trees, I am beyond thrilled to welcome you here to celebrate this important milestone. We also wish to acknowledge today that we are here on the unceded ancestral homeland of the Ramaytush Ohlone, the original people of the San Francisco Peninsula. Public Works is committed to working with the city's indigenous groups to further understanding the history of the land. We also recognize that November is Native American Heritage Month. And in an effort to go beyond land acknowledgments, while we are unable to return this land directly to the Ramaytush Ohlone, Public Works is making this nursery space available for use by indigenous groups for learning, connecting, and teaching. We are honored to be joined here by Dr. Jonathan Cordero, Chair of the Ramaytush Ohlone and Executive Director of the Association of the Ramaytush Ohlone. Dr. Cordero.
Hershatuhi, greetings everyone. In partnership with the City of San Francisco's Department of Public Works, the Ramaytush Ohlone humbly supported grant applications for tree planting or the greening of marginalized communities in Yalamu, which is our name for the City of San Francisco. We now stand here in support of the realization of that vision, the opening of the Street Tree Nursery. As Native peoples, our primary responsibilities are to care for the natural world and to care for the people who reside in our ancestral homeland, especially marginalized communities. Any project at the intersection of ecology and equity counts as a high priority for us, and so it was easy to offer our unwavering support for this project. The more justice-driven reasons for our support can be found in the following. First, we know that marginalized communities have less open space and greenery than others. By greenery, obviously, I'm referring to trees, parks, green belts, community gardens, etc. In fact, scientific studies continue to show a strong correlation between greenery and race and between greenery and socioeconomic status. Second, we know that being with nature has a positive impact on one's physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. In other words, this is a public health concern as well. There are, of course, other important ecological benefits. The Street Tree Nursery makes a significant contribution to addressing these kinds of ecological injustices present in the city of San Francisco, and it provides green job opportunities to members of the marginalized communities that it actually serves. We want to thank especially John Sway from the Department of Public Works, who shepherded this project through to fruition, Mayor Breed and the City of San Francisco, Governor Newsom and the State of California, and the numerous other supporters and grantors who made this incredible vision a reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cordero. Our guiding vision for the Street Tree Nursery is enshrined in the large circular graphic that you can't see but is behind you. Justice, jobs, climate, and trees. Our mission embodies Public Works' holistic approach to serving the people of San Francisco. By planting trees and providing green jobs for residents in underserved neighborhoods lacking tree cover, the nursery will be a hub for elevating environmental and economic justice. This project was built on amazing partnerships that will only continue to grow. Thank you to the Public Works teams that designed, managed, and helped build the nursery, our hardworking contractor crews led by Yerba Buena Engineering and Construction, and Friends of the Urban Forest, which will run the workforce development component of our nursery. The project would not have moved forward without the incredible partnership and commitment of the state of California, led by Governor Newsom. And now it is my pleasure to introduce San Francisco Mayor London Breed, another staunch supporter of this nursery. She is someone who fights for her city every day with optimism and purpose. Mayor Breed.
Thank you. Thank you, Carla. It is so great to finally be here after, I think we had a discussion about this project maybe 2-3 years ago, and we talked about what is possible. But I want to step back just a moment because some great things are happening in San Francisco right now. We got Dreamforce returning, the NBA All-Star Weekend in 2025, APEC next week, and in fact, the entire purpose of APEC is climate. And what they are focused on is building a more resilient and sustainable future for all. So this is perfect timing to open a space like this where San Francisco is going to be growing its own trees, working with community, working with Rec and Park and the Department of Public Works and community as a whole to make it possible for us to do what our goal is by 2024 under our climate action plan. In San Francisco, we're committed to planting 155,000 trees, and this is how we're going to get there. And I got to tell you, a partnership of this nature does not happen easily. It happens because your former mayor is governor now of the city and county of San Francisco, Gavin Newsom, who continues to time and time again support the projects and the things that we do here in San Francisco, and this is no different. And the Department of Transportation for the state providing an opportunity for us as a city and county to actually lease the land, and they gave us, usually they do it for $1 a month, but it turned out to be about $500. Maybe you can adjust our rent, who knows? But nevertheless, it's still a really good deal for the state of California, and it is so exciting to be here today to celebrate with all of you. And I really want to thank our amazing partner, Friends of the Urban Forest, for all of their commitment in making, I see Brian over there. I was wondering where you were. But for so many years, people all over this city continue to plant trees in neighborhoods throughout San Francisco, and oftentimes we're not able to grow those trees in San Francisco. But now this nursery has given us an opportunity to do so much more. And I want to thank so many of the great folks that are here today that helped make this possible, as I said, starting with our governor, Gavin Newsom, who is committed to clean and green California, but also with some financial resources to really put the icing on the cake and to get this project started sooner rather than later. I want to thank Caltrans, Cal Fire, the California Natural Resource Agency, the San Francisco Public Works Department, and again, thank you all so much for being here to celebrate this incredible milestone. This property has been pretty much not used for most of nothing. And now it's going to be made into something exciting, something sustainable, and something open and available for the community. And with that, I want to take this opportunity to introduce the Secretary of Transportation, Tokes Omen-Shakin.
Good afternoon, San Francisco. How's everybody doing? Good. I want to start off mostly with thanks before I talk give you any details about how important this project is and how important the Clean California program, the vision for it, has been for California. And number one, I want to thank Mayor Breed for the partnership. She has just a little bit of activity going on in the city, a small gathering of world leaders happening in a few days. So I want to commend her, first of all, for the partnership and for turning the city into what it's becoming into more and more. So thank you, Mayor Breed, for the partnership. Director Short, thank you as well for the partnership with our Caltrans team to make a day like today happen, and for the years in history that you were just sharing with me to make days like today happen. So thank you as well, Director Short, for all the work that you've done. Director Tavares and his team. Director Tavares is here. His team, Caltrans team, really appreciate all the work that you've done. Dina El Tawanzi, where's Dina, the district director? Thank you as well. Give them a hand for all the work, both of their teams, for everything that they've been doing to get to a day like today. And by the way, the folks in orange and neon jackets behind us, those are the folks that really do the work. Please give them a hand as well. Thank them. Public works staff, Caltrans maintenance staff, really appreciate all the work that they've been doing. So before I get into the project just a little bit, and I'm going to try to be as brief as I can be, a day like today happens because of vision. I got a call in the spring of 2021, April of 2021, from a guy named Jason Elliott. Some of you may know who that guy is. And he says, hey, Governor wants you, I was the public works director at the time, said, hey, Governor wants to take on some increased maintenance activities in the state to brighten the look of our state right-of-way and our highways. And our budget at the time to clean up the entire state of California was $19 million a year. That was it. For the whole state of California, 90. And so when Jason called me and I eventually talked to the governor, my proposal back to him was maybe like $110, $120 million to bump it up by 20 or 30 million. And Jason was just laughing on the phone. He's like, no, the governor wants you to have a vision. He wants you to dream about what the utmost you could possibly do for the right-of-way of the state would be. Ended up turning into a program called Clean California, more than tripled our budget to clean up the state's right-of-way, more than $300 million a year. But the part, yeah, please, a hand for that, for Clean California. But the part that I liked the most about it is the transformative nature. Not just go out to pick up litter, but to do programs like this, beautification efforts, landscaping, art in communities, and very importantly, providing opportunity for people, jobs being created. There are more than 300 people that were formerly homeless, experiencing homelessness, that have been hired by the Clean California Project just because of that vision. Yeah, please. Yeah, more than 300 people. It's amazing what that vision can do. So what has happened since 154 total projects across the state? Again, not just to pick up litter, but transformative efforts. We recently, just this year, the governor approved us moving forward with $15 additional million for transit projects. So BART, Muni, also getting funding, not just this right away, but transit stations across the state getting funding and support as well. 28 projects just in this district alone, and in the city of San Francisco, 4 projects and $9 million in the city. So kudos to the mayor for that as well. So on this project specifically, as I close, when I think about a day like today, this project is about people. This is about families. This is about children having access to things that they traditionally, in an urban setting, wouldn't have access to. They won't be able to get to it. They'd have to go out into further places, into nature, to get access to something like this. But right here in the middle of downtown, 500 trees will be planted, 500 trees, and room for up to 1,000 additional trees planted right here. They'll be able to engage with arborists. Yeah, please, a hand for nearly 1,000 trees potentially. So room for families to come and engage with arborists and learn more about nature. And that's what ultimately all of this is about, people and our planet. So exciting to be a part of today. As I close, I mentioned the importance of vision. And one of my favorite sayings is, where there's no vision, the people perish. Where there's no vision, the people perish. And the same goes for communities. If a community doesn't have a vision, the likelihood that community fails and perishes increases. A person with a vision that I've been so glad to have an opportunity to work for has been a guy named Gavin Newsom. Governor Gavin, his vision for the state on issues related to equity, climate, and projects like this, the Clean California program, is transforming the state. So if we don't all mind, please give a warm welcome on a chilly evening. Give a warm welcome to our governor of the great state of California, Governor Gavin Newsom. Please. Woo!
Thank you, everybody. And thanks for everybody taking the I like the cheering section over here, so you should all be working, but that's for the mayor to decide. But I know how hard you work to get here, so we're here to celebrate your extraordinary contribution to this moment. And look, I hear about vision. This is about the vision of every single person that's stuck in traffic, that looks down on this spot and has been looking down on this spot for quite literally decades, well before my time here, wondering what the hell is going on. This is about addressing one of those mysteries of life. Why the hell didn't we do this 25 years ago? It's a frustration that we all have about our state. You drive around and you wonder, who's responsible? Why isn't that cleaned up? Why is that graffiti there? Why are all these encampments? I spend more money on taxes every single damn year. Clean it up. Do your job. People are frustrated. We're here mindful of that mindset. I'm certainly here mindful of that mindset. And that's what brought us here a few years ago when we announced this project. Especially when I realized that I had to look in the mirror and realize that this happened on my watch, not someone else's watch, that Caltrans had a role to play in this and a responsibility to address this. And really, this is the spot, no exaggeration. Tokes talks about what happened in 2021. It was literally out of the frustration of coming in and out of this city at this particular spot that led to Clean California. It's a $1.2 billion program. 3-year commitment. We set aside $1.2 billion. Tokes is absolutely right. It was less than $90 million a year for the entire state. $1.2 billion for 3 years. $200 million of that is matching grants with cities and counties in order to stretch the dollars. And it's not just about cleaning things up, it's about beautification. It's about leaving something behind more meaningful. And it's also about the process of renewal and rebirth as it relates to a workforce program that now includes, get this, 8,700 folks that have worked through the Clean California initiative since we launched this. And Tokes wisely highlighted formerly homeless, but we have veterans, we have folks that have been previously incarcerated, and those are the folks we prioritize. We also use it as a recruitment tool to address some of the vacancies that we had in the Caltrans team. Because people got excited about this, because they saw the arts component, they saw the nature components, they saw something that was a little bit different than just throwing a bunch of rocks or putting a bunch of chain link fences up. There was a true commitment to community. And so I'm excited about this, because look, I get it. California's the size of 21 state populations combined. And even $1 billion is a drop in the bucket. But it's the most significant commitment that we know of any state in the nation, even on a per capita basis, to begin the process of at least turning things around. We're getting local artists. We're getting folks that are committed to the long term, because what happens, you've seen this, how many of these have we been to? And then 3 weeks later, it looks like no one's, it's completely abandoned, it's destroyed, and then you get demoralized. And the commitment here is to do something that's sustainable, literally and figuratively. And that's why we love the idea of 1,000 or so trees that will be here, that will be part of this renewal and rebirth of San Francisco. And I can't just thank you enough, Mayor Breed. She and I have been on the phone. Someone should FOIA us. Maybe I shouldn't say that. Those sunshine requests, get our emails back and forth on just basic stuff. Like, what can I do on 7th Street, on 5th Street? What can we do on 6th Street? I don't care about this jurisdictional nonsense. How can we help? What do you need? And 90% of the time, it's literally time. It's like we've been waiting for an answer for a year, and we can't get a return phone call. And it drives you crazy. It's not about money. All this is not about money. It really isn't. We put $3.5 million up for this. That's not insignificant. But the money's out there. It's about initiative, it's about commitment, it's about accountability, it's about leadership, and it's about collaboration, and it's about breaking down silos and all these stupid jurisdictions. I love and I appreciate the mayor's comments about how many different state agencies are part of this, but each one of those has their own damn process. What could take quite literally weekends takes years and years and years of the process. And if you haven't been paying attention up in Sacramento, we've been blowing past all those old rules. We just got some massive permitting reforms done in the state of California to move projects. It's time to delivery, and it's time to deliver for you, the taxpayers of California. You deserve it. So, hey, look, that's my emphasis. I see what you see. And we all want and see a brighter future as well. And so I'm really excited. I know folks say, oh, they're just cleaning up this place because all those fancy leaders are coming into town. That's true, because it's true. But it's also true for months and months and months prior to APEC, we've been having different conversations. And we've raised the bar of expectation between the city, the county, and the state, and our federal partners as well, that we all have to do more and do better. And so that's really the spirit of this. This is momentum. This is directional. And I want folks to know you're seeing a lot more of this all around town and all around the Bay Area. There's 15 projects like this all around the Bay Area that are funded and are happening. We're cleaning up this state. And I'll close on this, because we love talking about the Golden Gate Bridge as sort of the iconic gateway to California, not just San Francisco. We have cleaned up the equivalent. I hate when they talk about tons. I don't know what a metric ton, I don't understand any of that. Maybe I'm a public school kid. I don't know all that fancy metric talk. But one thing I know is how long the Golden Gate Bridge is. So they put it in language I can understand. Since we announced this in July of 2021, they have as much garbage that would fill the entire Golden Gate Bridge 670 times that has been cleaned up because of the Clean California initiative. So I think that's pretty good. At least I get my arms around that. And yes, there's about 6,000 more that we need to actually do. And so we're mindful of what we have to do going forward. So thank you, Mr. Chairman, for beginning this. Thank you, Caltrans and the leadership. Madam Director, thank you. Thank you to Jason Elliott, once a chief of staff of a former mayor, always a chief of staff of a former mayor, once a mayor, always a mayor. Thank you to the mayor for allowing us to do all this and her desire to see so many more of these projects done, and we're seeing it. So San Francisco, don't count yourself out. This city, this state is resilient. I'm really proud of what's been happening here, and I'm so excited about showing this off to 21 fancy foreign leaders from around the world, tens of thousands of people that are going to come in and wonder what the hell Fox News has been talking about all these years. Thank you all very, very much. There's coming up in a second. Anyway, it's appreciate you guys being out here. We've been doing, maybe turn that down a little bit. You got it. Thanks. This has been an important initiative. We're seeing a lot of progress. I think Clean California has many different components. This is just one component part. Obviously, traditional cleaning up the garbage and graffiti up and down the state of California is one component part of it. We've now removed, just as a component part of this, over 3,300 encampments as part of the Clean California initiative. And of course, the beautification components, which are a big part of the budget and what we're promoting as a component part here today. But we want to see a lot more of these. I think universally, these are the kind of projects people want to see. You can see behind me what this looked like. We have a large shelter right next door. I mean, that's the image that I've seen probably 20, 30 years. Again, well before my time as mayor, even a county supervisor. And so it's really nice to know that hundreds of thousands of people are going to come into the city, and the first thing they're going to see is this project. And as they leave the city, they're going to have the opportunity to see this project. And been talking a lot to the mayor about other projects, entrances and exits into the city that we can beautify together, and we can amplify the work that's being done locally. We can find resources and then break down any barriers in terms of just getting those projects done. And as I said, this predates APEC, but APEC is a forcing function, and that's always a positive thing. Anytime there's a large event, it just focuses the mind, keeps everybody on the same agenda, and we always want to put our best face forward. But the goal here is it's not a situational commitment. This is a long-term strategy. It began in July of 2021, and momentumly and directionally, we want to continue to see these kinds of projects up and down the state. With that, here to answer any questions.
Thank you, Governor. I have a question about downtown revitalization. What can the state do for downtowns like San Francisco's, where so many offices are vacant and there's so many shuttered businesses? Some have called for the state to offer incentives for converting office buildings to residential. Do you have any ideas?
Yeah, we actually have a work group. We've got a task force of sorts that's looking at downtown revitalization and best practices, not just throughout the state of California, but working in partnership with experts from Richard, Florida, who's written a lot about downtowns around the rest of the world, what are best practices across the globe, not just across the United States. This is not a unique phenomenon to San Francisco. San Francisco's still got a lot of work to do, but nonetheless, we're recognizing that downtowns are changing. It's not just stacking people in offices, it's stacking people, period. And that force is a function of reimagining the future of downtowns and looking at zoning issues, looking at state components in terms of that zoning. We've done a lot, probably more than any administration in modern times, in terms of supporting locals to break down barriers as it relates to zoning and land use. And our commitment is to work with locals to do the same as it relates to their desire to move their downtowns in a different direction. But we formalized this work group. They've been meeting for about a year. You have a lot of legislative leaders from the Bay Area in particular that are very eager to engage on this process. And I imagine you're going to see some movement in this legislative session as it relates to just tax incentives and the like and increments. Those are always a little more challenging. There's a lot of rules and regulations in that space, but those are certainly component parts of those discussions.
Governor Newsom, urban California has dealt with an image problem nationally for years. And the last few, you talked briefly about that. Why did this take so long? And how far is this funded to keep on going? Because a lot of people are saying, this kind of stuff should have been happening years ago.
Well, it was. We started this in July of 2021. So we didn't wait for everybody to pile on. And we recognize the need to do a lot more. And we've invested unprecedented funds in these kinds of projects and these kinds of efforts. And at the end of the day, we can't do it alone. And that's why a component part of this is the matching grants that are also critical. We want everybody to have skin in the game. And the challenge always with these projects is who's going to maintain them after they're done. And those are ongoing costs. And that's always been a burden in the past where locals say, no, we're good. Or you commit to that. And that's when you get jurisdictional issues, you get finger pointing. So we're trying to break those issues down. One of the first things we did a number of years ago, I think it was back in 2019, one of the things I was eager to do as a former mayor was address some of the legal issues and the jurisdictional issues on Caltrans sites that are directly in cities, and allow for cities to take over the state sites without issues regarding liability. And so we changed the memorandums of understanding, and we changed some of those legal rules and regulations to allow more collaboration. So there's some structural things that were done. There's unprecedented funding now in this space. As I said, this is one of hundreds and hundreds of projects that are already complete or are underway throughout the state of California.
This is a question for Mayor Breed. In light of APEC coming, what's being done or has already been done to clean up the city with that APEC
just to be clear, we clean up the city every day. We have people who work for the Department of Public Works. They're out in the middle of the night, oftentimes, power washing the streets, picking up trash, getting what they need to out of the trash cans on a regular basis. So they are still out there doing the work that they have always done, and we will continue to do everything we can to maintain cleanliness in our streets. And I'll just give you one example. Early in the morning, whether it's UN Plaza, places in the Tenderloin, you have Department of Public Works employees out there doing everything they can to keep the streets clean. And we will continue to do that throughout APEC as well.
And I'll just remind folks, this project, we didn't even know APEC was coming. When we launched this project, we had a press conference right here a few years back where we announced this. It wasn't considered in the context of APEC. It was considered in the context of improving the quality of life for all Californians and initiating that effort here in Northern California at this site first, and then a site that we picked in Southern California right up the freeway near the 405 in Los Angeles.
Thank you. I'm Megan with KCBS Radio. I have a clarification question on the number of encampments you said were cleared. Was that the state or right here, the 3,300?
Yeah, the 30, and it's just shy, it's 3,270, but those are just through, and there are many component parts of our encampment efforts. Through Clean California, 3,300, through Caltrans efforts directly. When we initiated that, you may not have followed this, you may not have written about it, maybe one of you did. We announced a goal of 1,000. We reached that goal, we actually exceeded it. I had a press conference in Fresno, California, the 1,500, we're more now than doubled that. So we want to continue in that effort. But we have a separate fund, and this is unprecedented. When I started as governor, it wasn't $1 the state provided for cities to deal with encampments, not $1.
Yes.
We put up 2 years into my administration, $50 million into a pilot. It was wildly oversubscribed, and it was a huge success. $750 million in that budget. $750 million. That's the encampment resolution grants that require a component part, which is we have to resolve the underlying issue in the first place. So it's not whack-a-mole, it's not out of sight, out of mind. We're not just cleaning folks up and hoping they disappear. This is the hard work of actually solving it, and that's why it's a substantively funded program. So that's a second component. And then, of course, the $1 billion a year that I provide the cities and counties for homelessness generally, where they have discretion, where I hope that it's a priority, and I know it is for this mayor, to address the issue of encampments. And together, we're working on the most frustrating subtext, this whole issue, and that's what's happened in the courts, and the perversion of what's happened as it relates to court orders that have created a lot of the problems that persist. That's not an excuse. We're not using that to abdicate responsibility. It's a fundamental fact, and it's been an impediment, and that's why the state joined the cities and others with an amicus brief to the Supreme Court to address some of those rules that have been made in the past.
And let me just add, today San Francisco was awarded its 7th Project Home Key grant. So these are also options that we have worked with the governor to provide housing for people who unfortunately are unhoused. In fact, since 2018, San Francisco has helped over 10,000 people exit homelessness, and on any given night, we are housing in our shelters and our permanently supportive housing units over 16,000 people. So we're getting a lot of state help, including Project Home Key, to make sure that there are options for people to live with dignity in places in San Francisco and all over the state. So there are a lot of solutions out there. There's a lot of work that's being done, and I'm really proud of the work that we are not only doing in the city, but the support that we can continue to get to the state under the governor's leadership.
I don't want to belabor this, but look, a year and a half ago or so, the mayor and I started different conversations. The usual partnerships were just not enough. The usual back and forth, the grants. We were increasing funding, but we had to do something at a different level. And that initiated the conversations we had about how can the California Highway Patrol help support some efforts and targeted efforts, how we can work with the federal government to do the same. Those were difficult conversations that got into jurisdictional issues, got a lot of values issues. A lot of people have strong opinions in this space, and those are well reported and discussed. But the bottom line is status quo is not acceptable. And so we've got CHP out here 560 hours a week now. We have a component part with the Guard in terms of dealing with some of the cross-jurisdictional issues as it relates to intelligence gathering. We're working hand in glove with the federal government, the DEA, and the FBI in ways we never have in the past. We have task forces focused on retail theft. San Francisco's actually outperformed many other parts of the state and seen a significant reduction in retail theft. We still have problems in this state. We're mindful of that. We put $800 million into our crime program, hiring another 1,000 CHP officers, and providing grants to help jurisdictions with prosecution and investigations. All of these are component parts of addressing the issues that I hear more often than any other issues, and it's just quality of life and the need to partner with new vigor and intentionality. And I just think we're at a different place now than we've ever been. And I say that as a former mayor, has worked with governors, and currently working with the legislature in partnership with them, with cities like San Francisco. I'm really encouraged directionally of the progress we're seeing.
Governor, how important is it for the city to look when these leaders get here for APEC next week?
Well, I've been in the city a lot. I've been seeing improvement consistently. So as the mayor said, we're not just all waking up saying, hey, we should hire someone to clean the streets. I mean, this is what you do. This is the table stakes. But everything's got to get dialed up generally. And I think, obviously anytime you put on an event, by definition, you have people over your house, you're going to clean up the house. You're going to make sure the kids, make their beds, take the socks, let's put them in the drawer, in the hamper. And that's, you have 21 world leaders, you got tens of thousands of people coming from all around the globe. What an opportunity to showcase the world's most extraordinary place, San Francisco. This is a crown jewel. I was just with President Xi. First thing he talked about was San Francisco. First thing he remembered was the Golden Gate Bridge when he was here in 1985. Should have seen the smile on his face. I mean, this is universe. This place is beloved. And its best days are in front of it, not behind it. And all those doomsdayers and all those negative folks, you know what? They haven't offered anything. They've offered nothing, no counsel, no advice, no direction, no support. And one thing we are doing is offering hope to folks that we are going to get to that next level. And I've seen it every single day. Those are some tough years, COVID. A lot of things happening all across this country. And we're working our way through that. And I feel really good about this small little drop in the bucket. But it's a symbolic and a substantive one, and it's one of many things that are happening. You don't want to ask the mayor more? I miss the mayor days. Can we talk about stop signs and things like that?
Because they know it's looking good in this city.
Okay, all right.
Report that.
Yeah, report that. It is looking good.